I want to thank everyone for being here and for signing up for this little mini workshop, Manifestation. And it's part of a mini series. And well, first of all, what I want to do is thank um, my wonderful, wonderful assistant, Lynn, for helping me set all this stuff up always. And she's the hub of mostly of what I offer publicly and privately as well. And is here again. That's Lynn up in my left-hand corner. That's waving. The one that she also has a cabin in the woods where she pumps water, and and so that's how she does her laundry. And
Thank you, Mark.
yeah, and she'll be helping me out here. And so everyone say hi, Lynn. Hi. Putting her on the spot here. And she'll be also posting comments in the tab. I believe it's on the right-hand side of any kind of information that I should mention. I do normally travel around the country teaching and working with people. And now we're going to various countries all around the world via the internet, which is really cool. And let's see. So also, I do have appointments that are available for people for spiritual healing. And at times, I'll be able to see the influences of, say, loved ones or other people that have been in your life or even haven't passed, or sometimes the causes of your distresses. And so appointments are always available through, and which is all the appointments I'm doing now, currently via the telephone and FaceTime and Zoom. So if you're interested in that. And there's also workshop courses online that are paid for and that are always announced on the website. And Lynn will be putting that information up. And this particular class is part of a series, a mini series of classes that I'm offering free to everyone. And they're every other week. For a healing circle, for a healing circle, they're every other week, and that's open to the public and free online. And the gathering every Wednesday, where I'll just do my best to answer any kind of questions that you might have on healing or spirituality, and working with those that request me to, or sometimes I might even just call on someone for something that I might perceive. And very short and powerful meditation at the end of that. So please do participate in the gathering. It's really an awesome thing. And then at the very end of it, I have a really short meditation on that. And Lynn will be putting up all the information about the website as well that has everything. And sign up for the newsletter if you can, please. Just a couple really short questions on that to sign yourself up. And let's see, I don't know what else. You'll also have access on the website to any of the past open videos for replay. So take advantage of those. I think they're pretty interesting. I talk myself, and have a lot of fun with that. And please understand, though, that the mini courses are just a taste of the courses that I'm offering in the near future. And some of the material I'm expressing is from my previous writings and a few other sources, and the writings as I remember them in my teachings and in my experience. And in this mini course on manifestation, I just wanted to give you information, understanding, and experiential work as well, that you can have something to take away with and utilize in your life. One thing I wanted to mention is that fear should and could be entirely eradicated from your consciousness in order for you to obtain possessions of the things that you want. Very important. And it's the fear that has the empowerment over us, unbeknownst to us. So, and today I'll give you some of the answers and finished understandings that have been forgotten and or washed away by the conversations of humanity through all the medias, the television, internet, through talking with people, to what we're born into, etc. And it's the stuff that we've forgotten basically in the world of how to manifest. And this is more, a little bit more of the complete story, or a lot more, according to your life. All of this, excuse me, I need some water here. All of this, I'll be alluding to, and that it's okay to even want money. It's okay to want a new home. It's okay to want a better job. It's okay to want a new car or new friends, if that's what makes you happy. And that it's really okay to be internally happy more often. There's nothing incorrect with that. And the divinity, the godliness, Yahweh, Buddha, Muhammad, Christ, they don't want you to be without. It's all from the same source. It doesn't want you to be without. And we just generally want these things because we think that they're going to make us happier and have a greater freedom or contentment in some way or another. And there's nothing really incorrect about that. Actually, there's really nothing that can give you happiness in reality, though some things can give you cause for happiness and a feeling for contentment. The joy of living can only come from within you. So now let's realize that through our thoughts, that it is through our simple effort that we can obtain everything or anything which we feel will bring us joy. And through your desires, which you need to be in accord with in the joy of living. Big thing in that. This is available for anyone that is striving for a persistence in their efforts to understand the law of imagination and visualization through focus. That's the only way. It's actually the law of imagination and visualization through focus. There's no such thing as the quickening use or blending of purposeful spiritual attainment without the ability to focus. And when I say the word effort, it doesn't mean stressing or straining or grinding your teeth in trying anything. It's just recognizing differently. The laws of the universe can't be altered, though, I mean, we can't create something that's against the laws of the universe. We can't create something in our lives, though we can be made to purposely work under certain conditions of those things, to create them to work. Just as we can't destroy matter, but we can rearrange it into a different developing pattern, form, or shape. It can be realized and then manipulated. The thought of what we desire can be realized and then manipulated through the mind, through focus, simply. And we're capable of giving the mind direction. The mind is kind of like a puppy dog. And here you got this brand new, cute little puppy dog that's unfortunately doing its stuff on the carpet. and or it's chewing the legs on furniture, and it's jumping on everything. But the neat thing is, if you train it, then it's happier and it's more productive. So our mind is of a similar nature, and we get to control our mind, and we get to learn how to through focus. It can be realized then and then manipulated through the mind, very simply, whatever the desire can be. Say hypothetically you have a thought and you send it out into the mind around you. Then literally an amazing thing happens. And it's just like, say we have a thought or a prayer or a need, and all of a sudden we see it exactly for a moment. And then somewhere in the universe, that mind, or excuse me, that thought in the mind, in our mind, goes out to it. And my perception of the mind, of the divinity or the godliness, is that it's dark out there. It's black, and in space and in the universe, and same thing in the mind of what I refer to as God. But that blackness, it's not a bad color, but it represents the soil within the mind of God, where you plant a seed, where you plant something, and somewhere that thought goes out there and an enzyme captures it. And as it captures it, it captures it in what I refer to as an enzyme, and it molds it, it kneads it, it reshapes it, and reshapes it again and again, puts it under pressure, it changes it a little bit or a lot. Then all of a sudden, it shoots it back to the right people, in the right neighborhood, in the right environment, to the right continent. And it all starts working together to manifest that immediately within 1/10 the speed of light. That's how quickly our prayer gets answered for manifestation of something. Literally how quickly it does it. So we have to remember the times that you had, say, a focus and then out of your mouth. And we take a look around us for the moment that we thought, then all of a sudden we say, oh my God, I was just thinking of that. It was a part of the manifestation. We all have it. And we all have the ability to do it, but we're not conscious necessarily that we're doing it at those times haphazardly. And the more conscious we become of it, the greater the manifestation without it being washed away through our thinking that it was just a fanciful thought, or oh wow, that was great, and then not remembering that we did that. So we have this capability. Try to remember that the picture that you think, you feel, and you see is reflected in the universal mind, the mind of the godliness, as I refer to it. Call it creator, the nameless one. God doesn't care. Call it anything. But it was that picture that you used your senses with all your heart for that less than a moment. And it was reflected in the universe and shot back immediately as soon as the thought of need or want or desire happened within you. There's no what I call meeting God halfway. That's non-existent. It happens prior. So that's an innate part of us that we all have this ability to utilize more consciously. The mind being the darkness as the fertile soil in the mind of that divinity, of that godliness. And through the law of cause and effect, there's equal and opposite reaction. Something is returned physically and or spiritually, always. This is the law of manifestation. You can't destroy it. It's there for us. And this happens personally with everyone and the Creator, that we know innately within ourselves. That's a part of us, and we're a part of it. It's the law of manifestation. And of course, it takes pictures, just like the building of a muscle, an athlete trying to develop particular muscles or whatever. It takes practice. Or getting water from a well, pumping it up, and eventually start to flow. Once it begins to develop, manifestation gets easier in life as we become more conscious of it, until we become complacent again, and then we start over. We become aware again that we can utilize it, until we become complacent again. We go to sleep, we forget, because we're involved in the world so much. But this other aspect of so-called spirituality is a part of our lives, and we're a part of it. It's a gift, it's a tool that everyone has. And we get to utilize it when we wake up again in the moment. I'm guilty of this myself at times. We all have this ability, but the more you practice it, the more prevalent it becomes, the more it's a part of our life. And we find ourselves in those little tiny moments, little splinter moments, less than a twinkling of an eye sometimes. The thought is so quick that, oh my God, here it is. I was just thinking about that. But now is our opportunity to become a little more conscious of it and to begin to play with it within ourselves. And we always wake up when we're in need of something or desire something. It's imperative when doing this purposely, picturing yourself the way you wish it, of what you're desiring or needing. Picturing yourself the way you wish it to be as an existing part of your life, an existing piece of your life, a fact of your life. And just for that moment, and as soon as you sabotage yourself, which is most common, repicture it until you have it, and then walk away. Let go, get out of Dodge, think of something else. For one little thing, if you learn to do it purposefully, it's learning to walk away once you have it, and to change your mind into something else. But it's also seeing it as though you have it and giving thanks for that to the universe. Then you're bringing in more of the juice, if that makes sense. It's utilizing every faculty of your senses as if you had it, and like you're touching it, you're hearing it, you're seeing it, You're feeling it, you're knowing it, you're tasting it, everything. You're living it. And generally, it only takes maybe 5 to 7 seconds when you're purposefully doing it. And then it gets less and less and less as you become involved in doing that for yourself. And here, where we're learning to use the imagination, which means to image in action as in a living picture, living it with all your desire, which is the fire that ignites that within you. All your desire. Living it literally. Not complacently or saying, oh yeah, I'd like to have this or I'd like to have that or whatever. It's trusting that. Be living that in every way and your senses. And watching yourself in that world of manifestation. Watching it, trusting it, and giving thanks for it and walking away, getting out of Dodge, as I say. This is where we're learning the utilization of manifestation, the law of manifestation, which is to image in action, not pretend, not fantasy, it's imagination. It's living in your picture, your snapshot, with feelings, with seeing, with tasting, with hearing, with touching, everything. Not hypothetical. Trusting that. We are the only creatures in our universe that have the capability to see and know and recognize outside of ourselves. Even the angels don't have this full capability. We are the only creatures in our universe that have that ability and capability to do that. What we're learning to train ourselves to do is to focus and to practice picturing your desire. Keep going over that picture, and soon you'll find that your thoughts and your desires will go into a simpler and more perfect picture as you pre-plan what exactly and how exactly you want it to be and to manifest. They'll go into a more perfect picture as you're practicing this. Then take that more perfect picture, which will be a lot simpler than what you had and more true compared to what you had at the start of your practice. Contemplate, wonder, what would this look like? You'll find that it's less elaborate and less messy. It'll have more purpose, more function in your life. And it'll be easier and it'll be clear. The idea is not to keep changing it, because that confuses the mind, and the mind. That makes it uncertain. The idea is what we just said, to find the reality of it within you. Simply. That's a potential for a greater manifestation. Not cluttered, and not constantly changing it. As you practice this more often, the destructive thoughts of sabotage, they'll be eliminated out of your mind. But it takes practice. It's like turning on a light, as I always say, in a darkened room. Where's the shadows and darkness go? They're non-existent. So what you're doing is placing a picture there that will enable you to have it answered and manifest for you. Imagination is amazing. It's an amazing tool that's been given to us for creation. It's not pretend, it's not fantasy, it's imagination. In other words, there's nothing to be afraid of in praying for manifesting something. Nothing. And after all, it's written that we're created in the image of God, or the divinity or creator or nameless one, or whatever you want to call it, the universal mind. And if we're created in that image of that godliness, that divinity, then we have, if we're created in it, then we have the ability to recreate in that image. And if that's true, that we're created in the image of that godliness, and we have the ability to recreate in that image, we therefore are co-creators. What is there to be afraid of, except for stepping out, or guilt, or fear, or self-sabotage? All we have to do is try it. All we have to do is manifest. That gives life to that godliness. It loves it when we share with it, and it shares with us. It's a mutual blending. The idea of wanting something so badly and so dearly, that's what it's about, purposefully. Then, as you let go of it, or forgotten it, or striving and working for it, whatever, there's a spirit of activity that brings it into manifestation, that meets us in that and wants to help us to fulfill that. It's a spirit of manifestation. And say if we let go of it, or forgotten it, or we're striving for it, or working for it, the spirit of activity will bring it into actual manifestation. There was a long time ago an expression that it's the spirit of 76. And that's when, back in those days, people felt it more. It was more obvious. People were simpler. But the spirit carried activity. That's what the spirit of 76 was. It was a tremendous, an amazing amount of activity. Even in the old book, the Bible, it talks about the spirit moved across the face of the water and brought life. It brought something. It's activity. It carried something. It carried life. And it's right in front of you. In everything, every activity, every thought, or everything you've ever felt, there's activity there. Why not utilize it? And more often than not, it's more perfect in its manifestation than we even imagined. Don't negate it if it seems that nothing is happening. It's not true. It is happening. It's always working. Always. The universal mind, the godliness, is conspiring for it to happen. First comes the idea that we had, the mental picture. It's like a snapshot of something. Then, within that is a concept, and then the physical reality that we conjured in our mind, that we imagined in creativity in our mind. And people don't even realize they did it. It happens all around everyone, haphazardly. We're afraid most of the time in most of our life, and we don't have to be, to pray. Every word, every thought, every action is our living prayer for manifestation. We always use it, but we're so non-cognizant of it. So actually, your personal evolution, it actually depends upon your ability to express your true desires and imagination. Your evolution depends upon it. And before you can even entertain the idea of making a mental picture, say, of your desire, look to see if it's practical. If you have a wish to be president of the United States, as I always say, it may not happen unless you're trained for that, unless you're prepared for that in life. See how it pertains to you, of what you wish for, how it really pertains to you. Find something you wish for. As your wish grows into an intense desire within you, and at first you have to work with it to create that desire. But once you start practicing with that, once you start entertaining that, then it becomes a part of you. It becomes a part of your life to utilize this. This puts your mind to work and gives the thought a form to work through and work from. And before you can entertain it, the idea of making something from a desire, watch as this desire becomes a simple and clear mental picture. If you, say, hypothetically want a house, by seeing yourself in that kind of house that you desire, go all throughout it. Go to every room, go to the backyard, notice the ceilings in the house, notice the smell in the house, if it was cooked in before. Notice you're living in the house. What would it be like? What would you fix? What would you not fix? Watch everything. Taste it, smell it, feel it, touch the counters in the kitchen. You might see an older refrigerator that you're going to want to replace in 5 years or 2 years or next month. Watch yourself living in it, eating in it. Do this for days if your desire is to get a home. See what doesn't work out with your finances in your life, if they don't change in some way, or someone else comes into the picture to help you or want to give you something or whatever. Watch all this stuff. Watch yourself living in it with all your heart, with all your senses. Then get out of Dodge. Just get out of Dodge. Watch yourself living in it and saying, hey, thanks, boss. Watch it. How it affects yourself and others living there. Watch that too. That'll give you a greater perspective when you perceive of that and how it's going to affect you and others. If you have family that's going to be living with you, watch them and how they're going to be affected in every way. Fine-tune it, hone it over days. See what doesn't manifest, no matter what it is. If it's correct for us, not like being the president of the United States when we're not even qualified to do something like that, at least I'm not. Watch what happens in the manifestations. And as the old cliche or saying goes, what you reap, you sow. Vice versa. What you sow, you reap. It's true. It's true. With practice, the self-sabotage, the negating, the fear, the guilt, all that will decrease and become less as you practice. There's a little exercise that I'd like to share with you, and I think it's important to do this exercise because it helps you to come into the track of it and into the mind of it. And you can do this on your own at another time and as often as you want, because you'll never get the same answer when you contemplate on this. An answer will come to you, a vision. And the exercise is this little contemplation of wondering. And you're asking yourself inside, show me what it means that I carry a creative spirit. Nothing more. Show me what it means that I carry a creative spirit. It'll be one of the greatest exercises for contemplations as you wonder about that, what it really means without thinking or bringing your thoughts into it. Let the thoughts come to you. Let the pictures come to you. Let the understandings come to you. Let the feelings come to you. Instead of, like we always do, project. This time, perceive. Show me what it means that I carry a creative spirit. And my ending statement is, so why not? All right, please, I want to thank you first for being patient and listening to me. And any brief questions or anything I can try to answer? Yes, someone wrote the butterfly. I forgot the author's name on that. It was about 30 years ago I read it. And even a butterfly breaking out of its cocoon, there's heat, the forces of heat, there's combustion, there's all kinds of dynamics that are happening. And it's eating away its cocoon and finally stretches out a little bit. And then it starts to take flight. And it creates ripples into the atmosphere. As minute as it might be, it's affecting the currents, which affect things in the immediate environment of it, maybe for, who knows, a mile out, changing things of the world, of that environment, as subtle as they are, or as little as they are. We do that too. We do that. And in our thinking, it creates change. But as we're allowing the divinity or the godliness to manipulate it and work it for us, because we're giving it up. And as we allow that divinity to take it and say, here, boss, here it is. What are you going to do about this? This is my thought. This is my prayer. This is my need. This is my want. This is my desire. The boss takes it and makes it more perfect, where it will fit in to everyone. And us being the reciprocator of that. Good point. Good point, Kathy. Yes. Yes, please, Mary.
Thank you, Mark. This was just amazing. I have pages of notes and we'll be reviewing this because I really believe this and have worked with it. And sometimes I'm not even conscious. Sometimes I do it, but this is putting another consciousness in it. But in the word intent, I didn't hear a lot about intent. And I've always followed the premise that energy follows intent. So when we have an intent to set this picture that's going to get reflected in the universe, that intent is that sometimes taken by the creative source and knows better for us what we need. I know it's kind of let go and let God. But what role do you see the intent playing? Are we always clear about that intent? Isn't our intent always for our highest good, or will creative source?
Screw the highest good.
Okay.
Screw the highest good.
Okay. Tell me about that.
According to whose book and, whose need. Intent is what we know that we need, and we're putting it into activity.
Put intent into activity. Yeah.
That's what we're born to do. That's the source within us that desires to be creative and to give to us. It wants to give to us unconditionally. We're a part of it. It's a part of us. There's no separation. And as we do that, we're experiencing life. We're evolving. It's a part of the ball game. Why we're here, to learn that, to utilize that, to become responsible. That's where intent comes in. To be responsible is the ability to respond. Please, Roz.
Thank you so much, Mark. I'm so happy I found you.
Same here.
So my question is more about trust. I mean, if you have the intent and you're in the moment of your desire, so to speak,
Ooh,
how do you trust the time thing, like when it will manifest?
You're
Is that-
you're not going there. You're not going there. You know it's in the works.
All right.
That's all that matters.
Okay.
One or two more questions. That'll be it. There, because I can't turn this into an hour class. Thank you. Please, I hope that answered your question, Roz.
Thank you, Mark.
Please, anyone, anything I can try to answer? Patty, Mike, Michelle, Diane, Elaine, The Apprentice, who I know it is, and Ellen. Anyone? All right. Lynn, question?
Michael actually had a question.
Oh, Mike. Go ahead, Mike. Here it is. If I interpret the world according to my personal history, do I then close out the world as it is? No, not at all. And narrow my creativity. Don't even bother emptying the mind or anything else. What you're learning to do is to focus. That's all.
I'm laughing because my mind is crazy.
I resemble that remark. Get it? Remark. Yeah, no,
Okay.
No, we're just learning to focus. We don't have to worry about anything else. We're learning to focus.
Okay.
That's it.
Good.
Good question. All right, my dear friends. Blessings to you. Please stay tuned for the next mini series workshop. And I look forward to seeing you all again, and many others. Also on the YouTube, on the Zoom thing, if you can, no, you rock doesn't matter, does it?
No, but when the YouTube video comes out, if you would like to take a moment to like, share, or subscribe, that would be amazing. That would
yes,
be really
yes.
helpful.
And
Leaving comments in there as well. help.
Yes, please. Yeah, that
So-
helps with the ratings as well. And also, Lynn, can you do me a favor and post the information for either contacting me or for appointments or for the next, I don't know what.
I will
Next-
be sending all that out in an email because not everyone can access the chat. So I'm going
Okay.
to send it out in an email.
Yay.
Yeah.
I hope you all enjoyed this and you were able to get something out of it or a
Thank you,
reminder of what you already knew.
Very much. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone. Have fun.
Bye, Mark.
Bye
Bye.
now.